Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 6, the final day, not the final viewing day, but the final day with new presentations on our Rewiring the Brain World Summit. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. And this will be the final session on neuro-somatic mindfulness. And following that, my colleague Michael Stone again will lead his final session on the neurodynamic breathwork. And then following that, we will do a live Q&A. So you'll be in the waiting room. If you've already come on to Zoom, you'll be in the waiting room until what would be 11:30 Eastern time. And then we'll let you in and we'll have the live Q&A at 11:30 Eastern time. And if you're watching now on the Summit website, you'll see there right to the left of the video, I believe, a link where you can enter the Zoom room with us if you like, and you can wait and do that at 11:30, or you can come in now and be in the waiting room, whatever you like. And if you're in both, then you need to have the volume down on 1, or you're going to get an echo. So we'll go ahead and get started here with neurosomatic mindfulness. So if this is your first session, you can just jump right in. Don't worry, just follow in. And we have built up quite a foundation, but nonetheless, you can probably jump in and follow along and connect with it. So the first day, I gave a fairly lengthy explanation of the why and how of neurosomatic mindfulness. And then we've been going through different layers of our internal experience of body. Working with, well, we also work with the external, which we will this morning, working with really connecting with all the sensations on the surface of the skin from head to toe, and creating a container for the practice of awareness of the external field of sensation. And then within that, beginning to explore the internal landscape of sensate experience, activating our capacity for what's known as interoception or internal perception. And then we worked with layers of the internal landscape of the body. We worked with the skeletal structure, the musculature, with all the vital organs. We worked with the neural networks in the heart and the biome and so forth. So we're going to just sort of briefly revisit all that now, and then move into a more collective sense of interoceptive awareness. And from there, relax into a kind of non-dual, more expansive awareness. So that's what we're going to do this morning, okay? So if you would, take a moment to find a posture that for you feels relatively upright, uplifted, awake, relaxed, sustainable. If for any reason of physical limitations, you need to do the practice lying down, standing up, or leaning against the back of a chair for support, please do what works for you. And if you are able to sit up with a relatively straight posture on a chair or a cushion, that would be good. It can be helpful to extend the crown of the head towards the ceiling or the sky a little bit, elongating the spine, and then letting your body just relax completely around that. Having a slightly concave quality in the lower backs instead of hunching. So we get good spinal alignment. And then I'll invite you to close your eyes with the practice. Towards the end of the session, we'll be opening the eyes. And there are many types of meditation. In general, I teach eyes open meditation, but to begin with the neurosomatic mindfulness, it's really important to connect with the internal landscape of the body, and closing the eyes facilitates that greatly. So I invite you to close your eyes for now. You could have the lips be slightly parted as if you're about to say, ah. That way the breath will move freely through the nose and the mouth. You could place the tongue on the upper palate, just behind the upper front teeth. That way the breath will flow primarily through the nose unless your sinuses are blocked. But slightly parting the lips also relaxes the jaw muscle. And having established your posture, I invite you to begin bringing your attention to the experience of being alive in your body, to the direct experience of sensation, actual physical sensation. We tend to live in a fairly conceptual world. Our amazing faculty for conceptualization and abstract thinking is an amazing part of our human capacity and our brain's capacity, but it can be an obstacle to nowness, to direct experience, and to awakening, because our brain, and you could say our mind, very quickly replaces direct experience with concepts. It's kind of a shorthand and an energy saver for the brain. Instead of really connecting and really looking at things and really taking all the data, the brain just pulls up the concept. So we're outside, we notice a tree. Are we really taking in the tree and really connecting with that living organism, the tree? Or does the brain just substitute a concept, tree? And we're really kind of just experiencing this conceptual overlay. So that's the way the brain works. And we know this from cognitive science, as well as from thousands of years of contemplative inner yogic traditions. So it requires a gentle effort to drop beneath that conceptual layer into the direct experience of the field of sensation that we call body. Body itself is just a word, a concept. But there's this lived experience. So I invite you to make this gentle effort to really focus in on feeling the sensations directly. And to begin with feeling all the sensations that we can notice and feel all across the surface of the skin from head to toe. The contact between our body and the chair, or feet in the ground, or a cushion, whatever we're sitting on. The contact between our skin and our clothing, the weight of our clothing. The contact between our skin, any exposed skin surface areas, and any movement of the air where we are, or the air temperature. The passage of air across the nostrils and or parted lips with each in-breath and out-breath. That entire field of external sensation from head to toe. Feeling the interface, the boundary between our body and the space surrounding us. And though we generally assume space to be empty, actually we know it's made up of gases and it's tangible. And so we can feel ourselves supported by the space. And I invite you to consider the space to be benevolent, which it is, that you're really supported by this benevolent space. And you can feel almost a way of being ensheathed in a field of sensation. All the sensations we can feel on the surface of the skin from head to toe. And sort of connecting the dots with all those sensations, we can weave this womb-like structure in our awareness and relax further, being held by the space, surrounded by benevolent space. And although ultimately the boundary between the body and space is permeable, it's basically we're participating in an energetic field. At the relative level, there are boundaries of the body, and we feel that interface between our skin and the space surrounding us. And that you can feel it as a very benevolent, nurturing space. So feeling ourselves really held, like the embrace of a mother and child, feeling ourselves held in that way. And then within that, beginning to explore the internal landscape of actual physical sensation. The weight and mass of the muscles and bones, the feeling of gravity holding us down on the earth. All the sensations arising and falling away with each in-breath and out-breath. The diaphragm muscle contracting and relaxing. Abdominal muscles contracting and relaxing. The intercostal muscles between the ribs contracting and relaxing as the rib cage opens and closes, allowing the lungs to fill with air and release the air. Being curious about and open to feeling any areas of discomfort in the body. The basic practice of mindfulness and awareness meditation is to simply be with our experience as it is in the moment without needing to change it at all, which includes our physical experience, all the other sense perceptions, emotions, and thoughts. Simply being with our experience as it appears to arise, appears to dwell, and appears to fall away moment to moment. Here we're focusing on the physical experience as the portal into attention stabilization and deep awareness. So feeling the body as directly as we can, the actual physicality of the body, and developing this deeply felt physical presence that acts as an anchor, anchoring our attention and our awareness in nowness. The actual experience of body, the actual sensate feel is happening right now, right here, moment to moment. Perhaps you can find your heartbeat. So again, with your eyes closed, I invite you to connect with your skeletal structure, even if it requires a bit of imagination, based on your memory of having seen skeletons depicted in film or a plastic skeleton in your chiropractor's office. And just get a sense of that skeletal structure supporting the body and realizing that even the bones have neuronal cells connected to the central nervous system. The outer white hard layer of the bones, as well as the marrow of the bones, all containing neuronal cells, and all living organisms. We tend to think of bones as these brittle, inert things, but they're not. The bones are living organisms, part of this living organism, the human body. So feeling into the bones from head to toe, maybe moving your fingers and toes to get a sense of feeling the bones in the hands and the feet, and feeling the bones in the lower legs, tibia and so on, the femur bones in the upper legs, the hips, pelvic cradle, And then from the tailbone, moving up the spine, and the rib cage back in front, all the way up through the neck and supporting the skull. Feeling into that skeletal structure as best you can. One place to connect with the bones is with the rib cage opening and closing, feeling the ribs moving with the connective tissue, ligaments, tendons, and intercostal muscles moving against the skin and so forth. And then along with the skeletal structure, bringing into our awareness the muscles, the connective tissue attaching the muscles to the bones. Remembering that our muscles store kinetic energy, which is why we can spring into action at a moment's notice, because the muscles store kinetic energy and we can feel that. You really tune in to the muscles, perhaps tuning into the calf muscles and the lower legs, quadricep muscles, the hamstring, major muscle groups in the upper legs, muscles in the lower back, abdominal muscles, diaphragm driving the breath, the intercostal muscles between the ribs, muscles of the upper backs, trapezoids, muscles of the chest, the pecs, shoulder muscles, biceps and triceps in the upper arms, and so forth. We can feel that kinetic energy stored in the muscles, slight vibration quality to it, almost like a finely tuned motor car at idle, or a wild cat in the wild, a lion, cheetah, tiger. You can just see that energy rippling under the skin. And then I invite our awareness to our lungs and heart, finding the heartbeat, feeling the lungs filling with air and releasing the air, process of oxygenation. Feeling the entire circulatory system with blood flowing out to the extremities, taking oxygen to every cell in the body. And then blood returning from the extremities, releasing carbon dioxide. Process happening from head to toe, including the head and the brain, which uses 20-25% of our blood flow. Feeling the aliveness, the energy coursing through the body. Feeling all of our vital organs involved in our digestive processes, our stomach and spleen, kidneys, liver, gallbladder, large and small intestine, perhaps feeling any energy or physical processes related to digestion. Feeling the flow of energy, life force energy throughout the body. Continually deepening our internal awareness, interoceptive awareness of the body, all the way down to the bones and including the bones. Feeling the aliveness flowing throughout the body from head to toe. Feeling the breath. I invite you to place your hands at the heart area for a moment. And just feel the energy there at the heart center. And have a sense of breathing into the heart, breathing out from the heart. Just tapping into a sense of basic okayness, feeling the trustworthiness of our heart, continually beating, pumping life-giving oxygen throughout the body. And also feeling the overall energetic center of the heart, the emotional center, the spiritual center of the heart. And then dropping one hand down to the abdominal area, just below the navel, feeling the neural networks of the biome. So we have these two energy centers, the heart and down below the navel. And just continuing to breathe and feel into the body as deeply as we can. Just feeling the natural resonance, coherence of the heart, the gut, and the brain, the free flowing of energy throughout the body. Feeling a deep sense of aliveness, okayness. The deeper our awareness goes into the body, the more all the internal organisms of the body, which each have their own periodicity of waveforms, begin to cohere. And we have the heartbeat, we have brain waves, all the internal organs and glands have their own periodicity of wave frequency. And just feeling it all beginning to cohere, feeling that resonance and flow. You can relax the hands, again, resting them on the upper legs. And just continue to feel into the body as deeply as you can and feeling this very palpable flow. So again, we're moving through this arc from self-directed self-regulation, where we continually return to the focus or object of awareness. The mind wanders, we bring it back. And over time, by really focusing on the physicality of the body, deeply anchoring our attention with the body, yoking our attention, synchronizing body and mind, we create that shift from the default mode network to the task positive network. The mind naturally quiets down, our attention stabilizes, we gain access to deeper and deeper awareness, both external awareness and interoceptive awareness of the body. And the body is learning, the body, mind, heart system is learning to auto-regulate itself into a deep state of flow. Where we're moving from self-directed self-regulation to auto-regulation into flow and being, pure presence. We're also moving across an arc from initially observing our experience, witnessing our experience, with a sense of a witnesser, a subject, relaxing that as our attention stabilizes into direct experiencing without the need for a subject or someone who's experiencing. And then relaxing even further into pure being, pure being. Simply being the breath, being the body, the breath being itself, the body being itself. And the more we drop into this deep state of being, we realize that the notion of a separate self who's experiencing that is simply a thought. It's simply a thought. And what is pure being, pure awareness, self-aware beingness, deep embodied awareness and flow that is self-aware. No need for a imagined separate self to be aware of it. Pure being, pure presence, pure flow. Now I invite you to open your eyes and just continue to rest in this flow and this deep quality of beingness, deep okayness, deep wholeness. And just look out into the space in front of you with a wide angle gaze, soft gaze, emphasizing your peripheral vision, widening the gaze even further with a soft, relaxed gaze. Just taking in all the perceptual experience of the space where you are, all the objects, the colors, any sounds that are present, taste or smell, just taking in all the data while continuing to rest in a flow of deep embodied self-awareness, presence. And just resting your mind in this flow of perceptual experience, body, sight, sound, smell, and taste, emotional energy, thoughts, just the entire landscape of our perceptual experience, and resting in that, letting your mind expand further and further and further to include everything, and just resting in that. Letting your field of awareness be completely filled with all the perceptual data, touch, sight, sound, smell, taste, cognition, feeling, emotion, and simply resting in that flow. Right here, right now, right here in nowness, a continual flow, a timeless flow of perceptual experience, cognition, and beingness, which doesn't require anyone to experience it. It simply is, and it's self-aware, not requiring anyone to be aware of it, not requiring us to create an imaginary self that can then imagine that it's having this experience. Simply relaxing in the direct experience, nowness, flow, presence, beingness. And within this state of flow and beingness, I invite you to ask yourself, is there anything missing? Or is there anything that would make this experience more complete? Or is it complete within itself? So I invite you to just relax into that quality of beingness, presence, and flow as we transition into the breathwork session with my colleague, Michael Stone. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Fleet.
Welcome. Good morning.
Good morning to you too. I was doing your meditation with you. It's really, really
That's great.
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, so here we are on our final day There's a whole nother day of viewing access tomorrow, but this is the final day of new presentations. We have an incredible day again. Every day of this summit is just incredible. It's not like it tapers off, It's like we arrange this summit so every day it's just chock full of, there isn't a single presenter on our whole summit that isn't amazing. These are world-leading experts. And today is another incredible arrangement of experts exploring how we can reshape our neural architecture for optimal well-being, life performance, happiness, and so forth. And this modality of breath work is one of these ways that we can do that. So I'm looking forward to our session.
Okay, so let's get started. And just first of all, I just want to mention that breath work and meditation do have some things in common in regards to quieting the mind. It's just a bit of a different pathway. As Fleet said, in meditation, it's about getting into the task positive network. In breath work, as you breathe more deeply and fully, there's certain physiological changes that happen in your body. So it just happens naturally, where the default mode network quiets down. And so it's not something that you have to focus on this or that. It's just like it will quiet down just because your blood gets more alkaline. There's certain changes that happen. There's certain areas of your brain that get more activity, certain get less. One of the ones that gets less is the default mode network. So just through faster, deeper breathing, you can actually quiet the mind. So today, just let me, for those of you who don't know me yet, just let me introduce myself for a moment. I've been facilitating breathwork sessions for about 15 years. And I started with holotropic, and then I developed my own modality about 5 years ago called neurodynamic breathwork, and have since worked with tens of thousands of people, both online and in person. And the normal breathing session that we do is an hour. But today we're just going to do a little taster, about 8 minutes or so. And so the purpose of the breath work today will not be like to put you into this crazy deep experience. And it's more about just getting a sense of what, even just for 8 minutes, doing this kind of breath work to music, how it can kind of change your way of being in the world, and how you might feel a little bit different afterwards than before. So, and also just a little side note, one of the interviews that we're doing today, or that I'm doing, is with Byron Metcalf, later in the summit. And it's his music that will be on most of the set today. And I use on almost, I'd say 80% of my sets, I use at the beginning. He's just an amazing composer for music to allow people to breathe to and go into trance states and have amazing breathwork experiences. So I encourage you to watch that interview. Okay, so back to the breathwork now. So just a few of the guiding principles and some of the experiences you might have, just to prepare you properly, and then we'll dive in. So one of the underlying principles of neurodynamic breathwork is that everybody has what I call an inner guiding intelligence. Other people visualize it differently, like connection to source, or innate intelligence, future self, higher self. But whatever you call it, it's the principle is that in the same way that your body knows how to heal itself, if you have like a cut, or if you have get a cold or something, your brain, your ego mind, doesn't have to figure out what to do. Luckily, all the trillions of cells just work together because they have this kind of innate drive to bring you back to wholeness and health. And your psyche has that exact same thing. But the problem is we spend so much of our time thinking these repetitive thoughts. Many times they're stressful thoughts, like we're throwing cortisol into our system, and it makes it almost impossible for us to connect to this very quiet inner voice that really has all the answers we need. And again, this drive to bringing us back towards this homeostatic place of wholeness and health. So today, through breath and music, we're going to, again, quiet the ego mind and connect to that amazing inner resource that we all have. Your job, surrender to the process, trust the process, and just trust that whatever is being brought up in your experience today is A, what you're ready to experience, and B, what is most effective for you to have today. So you might have just a very gentle, light experience where not much happens. And it's basically just that, A, like your psyche saying, okay, we only have 8 minutes, so we can't take you into a deep dive. This is as far as we can go, so this is what you're going to get. It could be that you had a very stressful last few days and your psyche is just going, okay, today we need a gentle experience. So it's really about opening your heart to whatever happens. Even if like the mind doesn't quiet down, then that's totally fine. That's what needed to happen today. If emotions come up, totally fine. If they don't come up, also totally fine. And it's really about learning how to just let life flow through you and allow, again, let go of control and allow whatever wants to happen. And that's easier said than done. We're kind of to a certain degree wired to want to control life, to want to control our experience, to want to have things in a way where they're comfortable. For instance, we have this drive towards comfort and away from discomfort, when many times going into the discomfort is really where the juice is for our life in that moment. So this is about, if you get uncomfortable, allow yourself to feel the discomfort. If there's a music track you don't like, allow yourself to feel the dislike. Oh, I don't like that music track, and let it out. That's what needs to, it's only your psyche accessing this stuck emotion that's inside you of frustration or disappointment or whatever it is. So just, letting go of, there's a good emotions, bad emotions, good experiences, bad experiences, and just letting whatever wants to happen. And that's the way to best really work with breath work, and also in life too. As Fleet mentions, but just really allowing life to be the way it is and appreciating it without judgment and just letting it flow through you in every moment. So the principles that make breathwork work also are the principles that really allow you to drop deeper into life. And so just to give you a sense of the types of experiences that are available, that people report, when I've surveyed the thousands of breathers that we have on our platform. Sensory experiences, sometimes people get body releases. Anytime you suppress an emotion into your body, there's always this kind of bioenergetic block that's attached to it. And so you might get tingles, you might get your legs start kicking or something like that. You might get a little bit of numbness and then the feeling comes back. You might get hot, you might get cold. You might feel tensions in your body, and like your body's just trying to maximize tension and then release. In a shorter experience, you probably won't get this, but in the longer ones, sometimes you get this thing where your fingers get all tense and then ultimately they release, because we tend to hold a lot of tension in our hands for a variety of reasons. And, one of the reasons being that in today's society, we're really trained not to reach out for help to people, to deal with our own stuff. And it didn't used to be like that. It used to be people lived in tribes, everybody helped each other. That's really how we're wired, to be in community. And so, but, in today's society, again, it's like, don't look weak, don't reach out for help. You can handle this. So it's kind of like we have this innate evolutionary desire to reach out, which is represented by our hands, putting out our hands, but we don't. So we get a lot of tension in our hands for that and for other reasons. So that's why many times, like, you might get this thing and then it releases. You might get visuals. Some people do, some people don't. And I get visuals about 1 every 4 sessions. So if you don't get them this session, especially in a 10-minute session, you'll probably get them at some point if you do ultimately, do the longer breathworks that I offer. Yeah, and you might get fractals like in, when you work with psychedelics, and you might get visuals where you just feel dissolved into the universe, or you might feel like you're in a past life, or you might visualize that you're going through redoing your birth experience, having a rebirth. You might get visuals of going back into a childhood experience that, for instance, that you thought was or felt has been very traumatic and holding you back, but seeing it from a different perspective, maybe seeing it from some strength that you gain from it. So all of those experiences are possible. You might get experiences of self-love or self-compassion, or you might just get a gentle ride, and none of that stuff might happen. You might get strong emotions. You might not feel emotional at all. And so it's really about But again, ultimately, if you do breath work long enough, you'll probably get everything at some point when you're ready for it. So, but today, if you feel like nothing's happening, then nothing's happening. Or to see what emotion comes up around that. If it's frustration comes up, let yourself feel the frustration. It's always about kind of what's happening in your inner world and just like being with that. All right, so some of the results that people get from doing neurodynamic breathwork, again, that they report when we survey them are 89% get summer major relief from anxiety, 84% summer major relief from trauma, 75% get better access to their inner guiding intelligence. And this type of breathwork, one of the foundational principles is that it's unguided. It's very different from almost every breathwork out there. In most breathworks, the facilitator will come in the middle of the session and say, oh, breathe deeper, or connect to love, or whatever it is. And the purpose, or at least one of the purposes of this breath work, is self-empowerment. And so it's to train your psyche that you don't need me to give you guidance during the session to get the experience that you need. It's all coming up from within, from your own inner guiding intelligence. And that's why people, once their psyche starts to learn this, when they go out into their lives, that's why the vast majority start to feel more self-empowered and feeling more like, I don't need to go out into the world to find my purpose, or I don't need to find my happiness in the outside world through a relationship. I can provide that for myself. I just have to connect to my inner guidance where all the answers are. And so it's people do start to feel more self-empowered and less of kind of like a victim of life, and more like they create their own reality. Increased connection to intuition. They're feeling more in their bodies, which is, one of the things that Fleet was talking about in his meditation. Being more present in life, having a deeper experience of life itself on a moment-to-moment basis. And about half actually get more clarity on their purpose in life, which can be incredibly profound. So all those experiences, if you do kind of make breathwork into a practice, and that's why we offer it 6 days a week, 5 to 6 days every week, we have a live facilitated breathwork session that people can participate in, so they can make it into like a yoga, into a practice, and they can start to strengthen that neural pathway to their inner guidance and bring it back into their lives. So today, during this 8 minutes, you won't hear me say anything. It's all going to be you, and you're just going to be opening up to your experience, opening your heart, and whatever happens, happens. Okay, so let's see if I missed anything. No, I think that's pretty much it. All right, so let's move forward. And also, if just a little side note, if after the session, you guys do want to actually dive deeper into breathwork and do a longer session, I do offer a free breathwork session to everyone on my website, breathworkonline.com, if this resonates with you and you want to do a deeper dive. All right, so let's move forward. So let's talk about the breath. And you're going to be breathing with a very specific technique at the beginning. And, partially like you want to move a lot of air, to start to create these physiological changes. And so you're going to be taking full deep breaths in and out through the mouth, and not through the nose. And the purpose of that is twofold. The first is it's easier to move more air when you breathe through your mouth, and also whenever you're in a release state in your life, like you're releasing emotions or you're angry or whatever it is, your body automatically switches to mouth breathing. So it's kind of like a signal to your body that it's okay to release. So in and out through the mouth, full deep breaths. So when you breathe in, your belly expands. When you breathe out, it just goes back to normal. And so let me just give you a little demo on that. So it'll look something like this. And you can just breathe at normal pace. In the regular neurodynamic breathwork sessions, we have people breathe a little bit faster than normal, but for this experience, it's unnecessary. You can just breathe at totally normal space, have it be enjoyable, not tense or stressed, full deep breathing, normal pace, and circular breathing. So you're always breathing in or breathing out, not holding your breath on the inhale or the exhale. It's always... just like that, and put all your focus, all your intention on the breath, and just let the music be kind of in the background. Just let its energy flow through you. So that's basically the breath technique. And if towards the end, the last track is usually just, a couple minutes of more gentle music. It's all pretty gentle. In the real sessions, it's much more evocative, and there's this part of it that's epic music for to energize breakthroughs and stuff like that. But today's going to be more gentle. And so, when it gets towards the really gentle music at the end, if your body wants to come back to normal breathing, it's totally fine too. So you're just going to kind of feel into what wants to happen. But definitely for the first few minutes, you want to stay with this technique. Yes. Okay, and you want to keep your eyes closed all the way through the experience. So once we get started, you want to close your eyes or put an eye mask on. If you want to, just before we start running, grab an eye mask. Either way is fine. You can do this either sitting or laying down, and you want to listen to it in whatever way you get the best sound quality. So if you have an over-the-ear headset, awesome. If you just have a phone with earbuds that works also, or good external speakers, but just whatever you have around where you can get decent sound quality. So, and let's see, is there anything else I forgot? No, I think that's pretty much it. So, and then as Fleet said, afterwards, you can hop into the room with us here and actually ask questions and share from your experiences. So, okay. So I'll just give you about 30 seconds, just if you need to grab your stuff, if you want to grab an eye mask, or just make yourself comfortable. If your clothing's really tight around your chest or your belly, you might want to loosen it up a little bit so you can really do the full deep breathing without interference. And then we'll get started. Get my screen share organized here. Okay, so let's get started. So at this point, you're going to be closing your eyes, and again, keeping your eyes closed all the way through this experience. So closing your eyes, taking a deep breath, just bringing your attention into the current moment. Being with yourself, letting go of what happened earlier today or what's going to happen later, bringing your full attention into your body. We're going to do just a very brief relaxation exercise, and where you just go through each body part one by one and releasing as much tension as you can in this moment. Just through a visualization. So starting with the feet, relaxing the feet, and bringing your attention to the calves, relaxing the calves. And then bringing your attention to your upper legs and torso area and relaxing that also. And bringing your attention to your belly area, leaving it open, loose, relaxed. Then bringing your attention to your chest area and just visualize your heart opening to whatever experience your inner guidance will bring you today. Then bringing your attention to your face, relaxing your jaw muscles, your forehead muscles. And giving your shoulders a stretch. Relaxing your upper arms, lower arms, and hands. And now bringing your attention to the fact that whenever there are people doing breath work together, there is always an energetic net of support that is available to all the breathers from the group energy. And today we have a group of over 200 people from around the world to support you on this journey. And just for a moment, imagine one person from the group putting their hand in your left hand, another putting their hand in your right hand, and allowing yourself to feel the warmth and support of their hands in yours. And just being with that for a moment. And now visualizing the entire group in a giant circle around the planet, sending you love and support, and then sending it right back out to the group. And now bringing your attention to the breath and deepening the breath, starting to take full deep breaths in and out through the mouth. Feeling your belly expand with each in-breath and letting it go out with each out-breath, taking full deep breaths. Some people like the little sound out in the out-breath, just see if that feels right. It's just optional. Breathing fully and deeply, deeply and fully, fully and deeply. Staying with the breath, putting all your focus on the breath. And now breathing in a way where there are no gaps. We're always breathing in or breathing out, just creating a wonderful circle of breath. But again, no tension in your body, making it a full, deep, but enjoyable breath. You can just breathe at normal pace, or just find a rhythm that really feels right to you. Breathing fully and deeply, deeply and fully, fully and deeply. Staying with the breath, staying with the breath. And now, just letting go of control, letting go of any type of judgment or expectation, and just allowing whatever wants to happen to happen. And in a moment, the music will begin. Have a wonderful journey. And now, if you haven't done so already, just bringing the breath back down to a normal rhythm and keeping your eyes closed if that feels right for another couple of minutes, just to reground. Being with yourself in a very gentle way. Staying present, staying aware. Taking a moment just to become conscious of all the things that are going on in your body in every moment that we're almost never aware of. Just keep your presence in your body. Like for me, I feel my fingers tingling a little bit in this moment. Feel different temperatures in different parts of my body. Just being present. And now taking a moment to send gratitude to our body. This amazing vehicle that we have that's been gifted to us to experience this adventure called life. All the work it does every day to keep us alive and well. Never complaining. And even if we mistreat our body, we don't exercise, we don't eat right, it just keeps doing its job. Sending ourselves gratitude, thankfulness. And many people spend their entire life looking for what they consider unconditional love. And for me, after I started doing breathwork, what I saw was that it's been there all along for me. With my body, it never complains again. It's always doing its work, always wanting me to be healthy and whole, no matter how much I don't treat it well. Never complains, always there for me. And if that's not unconditional love, I don't know what is. Yes, that was one of my own profound realizations in breathwork. I don't have to look in the outside world for it. It's already right there. And when you're ready, just gently open your eyes, but with very gentle energy, with a softness, stillness. You're just taking a deep breath to reground yourself. And at this point, we're going to open up for sharing. So we'd love for you to come into the room now. There's a little button to push there by, and if you don't see it, you may have to refresh your browser. It just means that you opened your browser before we put the link in. So please do come in. Part of breathwork, actually, in our sessions, at the end, we have a sharing circle. So this is kind kind of like that, where you can just share whatever you'd like from your experience or just be present for other people sharing. So would love to have you come in and join us.
And as you come in, you're welcome, if you're comfortable, to turn your cameras on. And that way we can see each other and begin to connect and have a sense of community with each other. But I don't know if, Eric, if people have their abilities to turn their cameras on, I don't know if you need to give them that ability. But feel welcome to turn your cameras on.
Yeah. And if it doesn't feel right, it's okay too.
And if you'd like to ask a question, you can go down and the icons down below, you'll see one that says reactions. You click on that, you'll see a raised hand icon. I'm going to raise my hand right now. There you can see my hand raised. And then you can lower your hand like that. So you're welcome now to ask a question or share whatever you would like. So please.
And if you'd like to ask a question, you can either type in the chat and we'll read them out and answer them, or just do it verbally too. If you'd like to, again, you can raise your hand and we'll unmute you. Either about the breath work or about Fleet's meditation, anything that you'd like to ask a question about. Fine. And with the breath work, maybe just noticing, do you feel more relaxed or present in your body after just 7 minutes of breathing? And or do you feel exactly the same?
Okay, so Patricia, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Your body after just 7 minutes of breathing.
I have
Or do you feel exactly the same?
I have a question about the breath work.
Okay, so Patricia, go ahead and unmute yourself.
I have a question about the breath work. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a
Exactly the same.
Okay, I've really enjoyed. I have a question about the breath work.
Okay, so Patricia, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh, you know what? I think
I have a question about the breath work.
Patricia, you may have your sound
Can you hear me?
on both in the Zoom meeting and also in the other room. You have to shut it down in the other
Okay,
place.
I've really enjoyed. I have a question about the breath work.
Okay, so everyone could turn the sound off on your.
Yeah, or just close the summit page.
I have a question about the breath work.
Patricia, you may have your sound on both in the Zoom meeting and also in the other room. You have to shut it down in the other
Okay,
place.
I really.
So Patricia, we're going to mute you for a moment. If you could
Just close the summit page and then so there won't be the echo.
close the summit page, and then you won't get that
But stay in the Zoom room.
echo going. You can stay in Zoom. Maybe we lost Patricia. Sorry about that. I hope she comes back. In the meantime, we'll see if someone else has a question. And if you do have still the summit page open, if you could close that for now.
But not the Zoom room.
Not the Zoom room, just the summit website. And that way you won't get that echo. Someone else have a question?
We have one thing in chat. That's from Mary Alice, who said, I feel so relaxed that I felt like I was going to go to sleep. And, it's interesting. Many people feel very relaxed after a breathwork session. And that's really our normal state of being. We're not meant to be stressed out all the time and always anxious, and it's not healthy. And so many times in breathwork sessions, especially in short ones, like the result is that it's just kind of training your body. This is what it feels like to be relaxed, and to try to kind of, if you can imprint that and maybe journal about it. What does it feel like in your body? What is it, why do you know that you feel relaxed? Does it feel like flow? And just write it all down. And then over the next few days, if you can reread it and just close your eyes and just kind of reimagine it in your body, that's a way to really imprint that feeling going forward in life and make it more accessible.
So we have a question from, is it Lenny? I'm not sure how to say your name, but please unmute yourself.
Yeah, Lene from Denmark.
Welcome.
I have enjoyed both the meditation with you, Fleet, and the breath work every day. And I'm used to meditation, but it's new for me with the breath work and the music. And you say, Michael, every day it's good to release trauma, depression, anxiety. But on your website, there stands, if you have trauma, PTSD, and then you can't join, or you should write to you. So I have a question about if you have, because I think a lot of people have PTSD, trauma. We all probably have trauma. Yeah. So I'm a little bit curious about that.
Oh, yeah, sure. So trauma's totally fine to come do breathwork, anxiety, depression, all of that. With PTSD, basically, during the breathwork session, one of the ways, like your psyche's always trying to heal yourself and bring yourself to wholeness. And so many times with PTSD, like there's a tremendous amount of stuck energy in our body. And because a lot of us is like trying to suppress and repress the original experience because it's so intense.
Yeah.
And so in breathwork, sometimes there's this drive towards really allowing yourself to start to go back and feel what's stuck in your body, to start to release all that energy. So with PTSD, it doesn't mean you can't do breath work. We just want to make sure that you have some kind of a support structure in your life so that when stuff does get, like you have friends you can talk to afterwards, or you have a therapist, so that you can actually, continue to process it afterwards in a safe way. So it's really just about, that's the question we would ask you.
Okay.
Do you have some kind of
because I
support
would really
structure?
like to try to go deeper with this for a time, because I find it very interesting. But I have PTSD. I'm also a therapist, but I was also thinking about I could do it with a friend, or I could always, if something happened,
Yeah, or even if you have someone you can talk to afterwards, or sometimes people, when they do breath work, they have someone sit with them. They can sit next to them, and then if they want their hand held, they can put their hand out or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's really just about creating a safe space for yourself.
Okay,
so
that's so fine.
Yeah.
Because the small session is not triggered anything at all.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And these small sessions, we're not, I'm trying to really trigger people, because then they can't really get, like during the longer sessions, people can actually connect with me during the session via private chat. So we can give them a much better container and support structure for
that's great.
Really deep experiences. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, both of you, to allow us to have so many sessions. It's been great.
You're very welcome.
It's been fun on our part too. Yeah. Thanks.
You're very welcome. And
thank you.
a couple of comments of appreciation in the chat, both from Jennifer and from Ricardo. So thank you very much. I'm glad that both the summit and these sessions have been very valuable and meaningful for both of you. So thank you for expressing that. There's a question, Michael, from that on a couple of the previous breathwork taster sessions, my eye started twitching. Is that a release?
Yes. Anything that your body does during the session that's not like a normal kind of thing is just, the way that your body's releasing in that moment. And it can be feel really odd. Like for instance, sometimes people will report that in these longer sessions, like their whole body tenses up, and it's like then they get this amazing release afterwards, but they feel like a mummy for a minute, and then their whole body releases and they go, oh my God, I've never felt this relaxed. So all these different ways that your body's chooses to release can be quite interesting. But any type of, like, for instance, some people get like this restless leg where the leg starts twitching and moving around. So it'll be different each time. So your body will release in whatever way is most effective in that moment.
Yeah, Michael, I this morning during your breathwork session, I just felt inspired to vocalize a lot and move a lot. And I was a little self-conscious because I think the door. I'm down in my basement studio here, and I think the door was open. I was worried my wife might think I was going crazy down here, but I decided just to kind of let it all hang out. And then, you know, at some moment it just sort of felt like somehow that just felt completed, and it just dropped into this beautiful flow, this incredibly relaxed flow. I mean, continuing the breathing, but it went from this kind of, you know, letting it all out to this really, really felt quite nice, quite beautiful.
Yeah, you know, those are like, you know, like the 3 ways to dive as deeply into the process are through emotions, sounds, and movement. So anytime that your body wants to do that, you want to let it do whatever it needs to do, even if it feels odd. You know, sometimes people will like talk in tongues or like say weird things or even go into yoga poses or whatever, but it's because their body wants to do that. Like, it's not like they're thinking I should be doing that. But anytime that your body wants to do that, it will take you to a deeper level of release in the process.
But I have to say, I don't know, the name is Huard. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, if that's a first name or a last name, Huard. But I'm totally loving your photo of your doggie holding the heart toy. Looks like maybe a golden retriever. Very much touches my heart. I have a beautiful golden doodle upstairs, who I love a lot. Michael, here's a question. What is the best way for my daughter, who's been under years of complex PTSD, to start meditation and hopefully enjoy it? She has been extremely resilient and has been working with trauma therapists, but no body work. Well, I guess asking about meditation could be breath work or meditation, but, you know, first of all, it depends on your daughter being interested in meditation. So we don't want to impose anything on anyone, but you could certainly, you know, bring it to her attention. You know, some people start with a good basic book on meditation. Some of Pema Children's books are very accessible. But, you know, so if she has an interest in meditation, um, you know, then just beginning gently. And given the background that she has, I would recommend, hate to toot my own horn here, but I would recommend the neurosomatic mindfulness approach, because it is deeply embodied work. And in general, healing PTSD, healing trauma really requires embodiment, and in a very gentle, trauma-informed way. So I teach neurosomatic mindfulness in a trauma-informed way. But anybody who's teaching trauma-informed, embodied mindfulness practice or meditation, any form of somatic meditation that's trauma-informed, would probably be helpful for her. If she has a great therapist that she really likes, then she might want to stick with them, but she could also possibly find a therapist who does introduce meditation, somatic meditation, or any other type of body work. But it really depends on her interest. She's got to find her way, and it's got to feel safe and comfortable and so forth. But yeah, you could direct her to my website at heartmind.co, and there's some free practices there. And again, she might take an interest in the breath work that Michael offers. Again, I think in that case, Michael would probably want to have a conversation with her to make sure she has those support systems that as he just mentioned a moment ago. Let's see, I'm thinking of doing breath work in thinking of doing the breath work in a circular motion, and then I can't read the rest of the chat. I don't know, maybe there's something about the circular motion somebody has a question about, Michael.
Yeah, I'm not clear what it looked like it got cut off. Yeah.
Yeah. Is Lynn still with us? I don't know if Lynn is still with us.
Yes, she's still here.
Oh, good, Lynn. Could you repeat your question?
Yes, I hit the wrong button. When I'm thinking about doing the breath work and the circular motion, I actually feel I'm going circularly, but physically. But in doing so, I feel like I am contracting my abdomen instead of expanding it. And then on the exhale, I'm I'm doing it the opposite way. It's like I'm having trouble expanding on the inhale,
Mhm.
and then contracting on the exhale. I'm finding I'm doing it in the opposite way.
Yeah,
Like when I'm inhaling, I'm bringing in my abdomen, and on the exhale, I'm pushing it out.
yeah, that you're basically doing chest breathing. Oh, there's an echo. Can you turn off your Summit page? Yeah, but stay in Zoom.
I don't know. Is that it?
Yeah, stay on Zoom, but close the Summit website page.
Where is that? I don't know. Is be on the
Probably
top?
have it-
Right. Oh, I'm getting some help.
Yeah, just the web page of the Summit.
Oh, I thought I did.
Like it'd be rewiringthebrain.com.
It'd probably be a
Yeah,
different
yeah,
tab
I
you have
did.
open in your browser.
How's that? Is that it? Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
No.
Well, I think you could go ahead and answer the question, Michael, and we could.
Okay, yeah, I can just answer it. Why don't we just mute? And so basically the answer to that is if it's going in on the in-breath, that means that you're doing chest breathing. Like you're actually breathing into your chest rather than into the bottom of your lungs. And it's really just practice. And if you put your hands on your belly and just kind of practice and kind of focus on kind of pushing your breath against your hands or whatever, people aren't used to doing deep breathing. And especially in our everyday life, it's kind of like shallow breathing is associated with putting your focus more into the outside world. Like if there's some kind of danger, like we breathe in a very shallow way into our chest, so our focus stays on the outside. This kind of more deeper belly breathing is, brings more inner focus. So it can sometimes take some practice because we're used to doing chest breathing in our life. Fleet, do you have a comment about that, or?
Yeah, sometimes we also think of it as vertical and lateral. So chest breathing tends to go up like this. And so, the abdominal muscles going in. And if you can think of letting your breath more go like this, like a bellows, so that, and one of the simple ways when you're going to sleep at night to train yourself to become a belly breather, place one hand on your chest and one hand on the belly. If you can lay flat on your back for a while, you could do it if you're lying on your side too, and just, move your pelvis around. It's usually the way your pelvis is held until you notice that the hand on the belly is going up and down and the hand on the chest is relatively still. And if you do that for a few minutes before you go to sleep every night, not only will you sleep better, but within weeks or a month, you'll become a default belly breather again. And we actually have neural networks to support belly breathing, because if anybody here is a parent, when your infant is there sleeping in the crib or you see the belly going up and down. Or if you have a dog or cat at home and they're taking a nap on the living room rung, you're going to see that belly going up and down. That's a natural way of breathing. And we learn stretch, we become chest breathers. It's a stress response, right? And so some of us become default chest breathers, which is not healthy for us. But it's not hard to relearn to become a belly breather because the neural networks in the brain exist for belly breathing. So that as soon as you start tapping into that, it'll take over and you'll become a default belly breather again. But just taking that practice before you go to sleep every night is a great way to retrain yourself to be a belly breather. Okay, we have Patricia. You want to unmute yourself, Patricia?
Okay,
There we go.
hopefully this time I'm not echoing.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, this is for Michael. I've really enjoyed these sessions and feel so good after them. But on your website, it says that if you have glaucoma, you're not supposed to do this, which I have. So I'm wondering why not?
Yeah, the issue with glaucoma is that sometimes when people do breath work, they like stress and strain in their body as they're kind of moving around, and when you're doing that, like you're putting kind of more pressure in your head. And glaucoma, you already have, you know, higher pressure in your head, so you know, like it can make, you know, like add to the issue, so to speak. So that's so it's really just a safety thing around that. If you really wanted to do it, like we'd have to kind of connect with your eye doctor and you know, make sure it was okay. But that's the basic principle, in that there may be some times where you actually do put additional pressure in that area.
So if I were going to ask my eye doctor if I could do this, what sort of question would I ask him?
What you could do is just send me an email, and I can send you something to send them, basically, and you know, forward an email to ask your doctor.
Okay,
And
thank you.
you can do that at you can email me at integration support. It's a long one, at breathworkonline.com.
You know, and Patricia, if in the end your eye doctor felt it wasn't advisable, or even a discussion with Michael that the more intense, longer breath sessions weren't advisable, there's lots of gentle breath work that you could still do that can be relaxing and reducing stress. So there's, you know, the Michael leads breath work that's transformative and can take people into fairly intense experiences, but there is also breath work that's really just about relaxation and reducing stress and so forth.
Yeah. And we actually do have, I have like a second type of breath work that we call breathe and reset, which is like a 12-minute session, kind of like today's, but longer. And for people that are on our monthly program, they can listen to it whenever they want. It's uploaded. And for that, there wouldn't be an issue with glaucoma. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Elizabeth has a question. Would you like to unmute, Elizabeth?
Hi, thank you all so much for these wonderful summits. I've enjoyed both practices. I've been working a bit more with the neuro-somatic mindfulness with a couple other classes you've offered, Fleet, in the past, and I really have felt it's helped my meditation practice so much. But I have a question. I feel that, you know, the sensing the outer body very easily, getting into the interoception. I can sense the bones and the different layers in there. But there's a point when you mentioned just sensing sort of the auto-regulation, and I can sort of either feel my body, or I sort of feel like I'm into this sort of open awareness where I'm not really feeling anything. It's more just the awareness itself. But I'm sort of trying to feel sort of this sense of coherence or flow happening, but it's either sort of an actual sensation that I'm feeling, or I'm feeling more just this open awareness. And I'm that sort of in between flow coherent state. I'm just sort of, I either am in the body kind of with that, or out of the body in that awareness. And I'm trying to figure out, you know, if you could direct some directions about that. I know you've been giving directions every day, and I just wondered if you had a comment about that.
Yeah, well, it sounds like
particular-
yeah, thank you, Elizabeth. It sounds like you're doing really well with the practice. And, you know, the the auto-regulation is just that, and it sounds, that's obviously it's happening for you, that the body, we really have this innate capacity the body has this innate capacity to auto-regulate itself into a deep state of beingness and flow, but we've kind of lost touch with it, right? And you know, I think there are probably human beings. I don't mean to romanticize indigenous life and situations where there can be tremendous poverty as well, but in the most natural setting that hunter-gatherers probably have existed in, you know, in more like, you know, really deep in nature settings. There are a few tribal people that are still living in very isolated areas that maybe enjoy that kind of life. They're so tuned into nature, and they really live in a state of flow. So I think our ancestors probably lived more in a state of flow, and it's really our birthright in a way. And so we have that capacity, but we've kind of lost it because we're so externally focused and we're so cognitively focused, right? And so by doing this work, it takes some effort to begin with, some gentle effort, always with practices, you know, the idea of right effort. Because if you make too much effort, it creates tension. If you don't make any effort, nothing happens, right? Like quality right. So it begins with gentle effort, but eventually, especially doing it in this very embodied way, we kind of reactivate or reconnect with the body's innate capacity for auto-regulating itself into deep flow. And so that's what's happening here. And it really is a neurobiofeedback loop, because you're in your body with awareness. Your body, mind, heart system is getting a lot of data. And every time you make a slight adjustment in a technique with your breath or your posture or anything, or your awareness, you know, that creates a different set of data. So the body's learning in this organic internal neurobiofeedback loop how to auto-regulate itself into deep attention stabilization and deep flow. And so, you know, there can be times where you're going to experience that in a much more embodied way, and it really be in that sense of the physicality of the life force energy of flow. And there are times when, especially if you do the eyes open practice, it may feel more like you're resting in awareness that without as much of a sense of body, but the two can be integrated as well. But ultimately the body, I think, is a very trustworthy portal into that very open awareness, which in some sense could go beyond body. It's not like we're trying to go beyond body or transcend body, but it can become so refined and so subtle that it may not feel so much like body anymore. It may just feel like pure awareness, right? But the portal is through the body, right? And yeah, so I don't know if I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. But it sounds like you're doing great with the practice. Yeah.
And
I so appreciate it.
so Fleet, there's a couple other questions I'll address briefly. And so we have
Are there a couple more in chat here?
Yeah. So first of all, Helen said, thank you, Fleet and Michael, for giving of your time. Been beneficial, both during this summit and the expanded states. I previously signed up, okay, for the Breathwork monthly trial, but the time difference didn't work for me in the UK. Will you be adding more Breathwork sessions for different time zones? Yeah, and we actually recently did add more, for like 4 new sessions for the shorter breathe and reset. So as we continue to grow, we do hope to add more sessions. And she's talking about the after you do your first free session with us, we're now doing like a promo where we let you breathe for a whole month for free. So that's what she tried. And so we are trying to add more sessions in different time zones. The ones that we have for Europe right now start at 10 a.m. Pacific time. But again, we're looking to add more as we're able to. We're
just about at the end of our time here. We actually are at the end of our time, and Eric had to go, so he said thank you. Thank you, Eric. Not our Heart Mind Eric, but a different Eric Griswold. But Janet was saying, is it possible to start with small amounts of breath work for release rather than the 2-hour session to avoid potential overwhelm from something coming up from complex PTSD?
Yes. If you have a few, well, there's 2 ways you can handle that. One is if you do try the longer breathwork session and it feels like, you know, we always encourage people to go through, but sometimes when you have something like complex PTSD, that can be very challenging, you know, to go through the whole release. If you slow down your breath, you slow down the experience. That's one way you can handle it. And also, we have a different type of breath work that I was talking about where you just breathe for 12 minutes. And you know, so it's similar to today, just a little bit longer. The whole session's only 30 minutes with little intro talks. You can just, and it's really just designed as a kind of reset of your nervous system, so to speak, and to go out into your life in just a more relaxed way. So that's what you can try and get kind of used to that first, potentially, if you are concerned about the longer breathwork session because of the PTSD. And we do one every Tuesday for our subscriber community.
So thank you very much,
poster one.
everyone, and thank you, Michael. I've really enjoyed your breathwork sessions, and this is our last session. But you can, if you're interested in going further with Michael's breathwork, you know, there's a link there, and you can get to his site, Breathwork Online. You can sign up for a free session. Michael's offering a course as well that's going to start, I think, a couple weeks maybe after the end of the summit here. But you can find out about that course right below here. There's a link, and we'll be publicizing that in various ways over the next couple of days. So as well as there's a link there to my neuro-somatic mindfulness course. And but we really want to thank you all for joining these sessions and for being part of the summit. And there's everybody who shared today, Patricia and Elizabeth and Lenny and everyone who asked questions, and Ricardo, and great to see you, Carolina, as always, from the Czech Republic, and Lynn and Benny and Barbara and Karen, Mary Louise, Marnie, Denise, Lisa, and again, Huard, I think it was, with the wonderful, it's Cecilia, I love your photo with your doggy there with the heart, and Marion and Mary Louise and Janet and Chris, Gabriella, Lynn, thank you all so much. Pam, for being here, Barbara and Denise. So
And also,
Michael, do you have any final?
Yeah, just a final thing. So Ricardo sent me a private question, and I'm going to email you after the class, Ricardo, with the answer. So it's very specific to you.
Great.
And also, I encourage you to, if you are interested in breathwork music, to watch the interview with Byron Metcalf. He's one of the major people in the country, maybe in the world, to work with. He's kind of a trance with kind of drumming and stuff that we love to start our breathwork sessions out with, to really support diving into the process. And that's available today and tomorrow.
Thank you, everybody. And thank you, Eric, for being back there in the background, producing, taking good care of us. And thank you, Michael, for your great breath work. And thank you, everybody. The summit is still available all day today, all day tomorrow. And if there are things you missed and you'd like to, you can get the lifetime access upgrade package for a very reasonable price, but it does go up tomorrow night at midnight. So if you want to get it, now's the time to get it. And you'll have access to all the content of the summit, lifetime access, as well as downloadable audios and videos, as well as a couple of bonus summits. So really a wealth of a whole library of transformative material that could keep you busy for a couple of years, at least, I'm sure, for a very reasonable price. So, and if anyone is in a situation where you really need a scholarship for whatever reason, reach out to us about that. So, okay. Thank you, everybody. Be well. Take care.
Have a wonderful day at the summit.